How is everybody feeling from last time? Last time was really intense. There's a lot of emotions that was coming up from last time. So how are you feeling about what you experienced?
Good.
Good? Yeah?
I'm gonna say that I'm a emotional basket case.
Oh, okay.
Because I just feel like my emotions are like, which is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's processing through it all. So I just feel like today I happen to be way more grief-ish because I've had some more grief stuff this last couple weeks, last couple days. But I'm allowing it to happen. I'm kind of like just sitting through it.
Do you notice the difference in how you're communicating with people now that there's this idea about the way how we use empathy and how it could be we're thinking we're doing the right thing but we're actually doing the wrong thing? It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually caught myself doing it this week.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's a practice thing. This is not a thing that we do like all at once and boom, we've got it like 100%, you know. And even when I'm talking now, I'm more inclined to have a conversation. Jason watched the video. And so when we're communicating about business or things like that, it's easier to bring it up and say like, this is how you're making me feel right now. So it's easier for us to have that open line of communication because then we can take a step back and say, oh my God, that's not the conversation that we were trying to have here. This isn't what we were talking about. So it's really cool to be able to communicate better when we start to really get to understand ourselves. How about anything else? What else are you guys feeling as far as the other chakras are going? Like, how are you feeling about allowing yourself to be worthy enough for that next thing or that next idea or that next leap into something different or great? Like, how are you doing about healing those wounds that are allowing you to move forward in the things that you really, truly want to do?
Sitting with them more.
Nice. Nice. Are you finding forgiveness?
No big deal. I'm all set. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting with them instead of past them.
Good.
Instead of what? Instead of going past them and just saying, oh no, that's fine, I'm actually sitting with them now. And let them.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot of heart stuff, and I have been for the last couple of weeks. Definitely, as something comes up, I'm starting to feel stuff. I'm feeling my heart. I'm feeling there's something that's like whether it's a song or whether it's a subject that comes up, and all of a sudden I'm feeling it, and I'm like, oh, I get so excited because it's like, that's what good feels like. That's what if my heart is just feeling good and it's right and yes, that's kind of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks. So
that's fantastic.
Even with the other things going on, I'm really noticing and feeling the heart coming through for me. As far as last week's, I was kind of looking at and going through the different emotions and all of those, and kind of sitting and trying to think about how I feel when something like that happens. And I found that there were some of them that I kind of get the same body feeling.
Yes.
When they come up.
Yes, and that is exactly
what... So I started to... I didn't what I started to do was kind of group them.
Yes.
Because I was, all of a sudden it's like, oh, when I feel this, or my body feels this when I'm thinking, or this is happening, and I think it was like with frustration, when I'm frustrated, anger comes up for me, and I actually wrote it down. I don't have it right here, but I wrote it down and I sectioned them off and said, oh, I get jittery when I do this, and I shut down when this happens.
So can you understand why certain times when we're feeling one thing, we can create a whole different scenario and events in our mind and try to make decisions based on those feelings that might not be correct as to what you really feel?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like we want to use our intuition, right? We want to develop our intuition. We want to know our intuition. We want to have our intuition guiding us to becoming the most authentic person that we can possibly be. But the problem is, and when we're doing that, is that you have to start to know your emotions well enough to know, is this an intuition or is this an ego thing? This is huge for the next step. The thing is the next chakra that we're going to talk about is intuition. It's the third eye. And I want to talk a lot about intuition, but in order to know intuition, you have to know yourself. You have to know your dark side, you have to know your light side, you have to know all the pieces in between, because you can confuse yourself with what you think is intuition and using your gut and what's really your story that your ego just told you to put guilt and fear in your face. And so it is so important to know your feelings, to understand what you're feeling at any time, so that you can really begin to dive into, oh, if I'm feeling frustrated and anger and they're the same emotion, I need to take a step back and really understand, what's my trigger? What's triggering me? What is making me feel uncomfortable? Because in those moments of that trigger, you can start going back and saying, do I need to be in this sensation right now? Is this sensation something that is a premonition? Or is this something that is coming to me because I'm creating a story in my ego head as to what I think based upon my past experiences? Because this is important, because I have heard from so many of you that you want to be an intuitive, that you want to build your intuition up. You want to develop your intuition. And you all have that ability. I have heard it. I have seen it. I know it. Melissa, I don't know you very well, but I already know just from your aura. I can see the intuitive nature of your body and the aura and the way it is. I know that you're an intuitive too. But being an intuitive can be very confusing if our ego is on. Yeah. Because we're still human beings. So that is where we get caught up in, is this mine or is this yours? Especially when we're trying to help somebody. If we're trying to help somebody and then all of a sudden I'm in trying to fix it instead of just listening to what they are going through and just standing there and let them talk and let them get their stuff out, now it's like they can still have their stuff. They can still keep their stuff. It's about feeling in between all of that. It's about feeling in between. But before you can be intuitive with somebody, you have to be intuitive with yourself. You have to know and develop those sensations and those guiding lights in order for you to be better at what you're doing. Better intuitives. This is what this class is all about, being more intuitive. And this is where it comes down to. Like, if you want to hear what your third eye is projecting for you, you have to be willing to go beyond your ego. Ego does not like that. Ego does not like to go beyond itself, to think that there could be something else guiding besides the ego. Even when I talk about something else, there's that little like, oh, what is that something else? And that is you. It is your essence. It's your spirit. It's your Holy Spirit. It's whatever you call it. It is so important to recognize that you have this intuitive ability. The information is coming towards you. It's whether or not you're a clear receptor or if it's all just kind of scratchy. We're like the radio. We have little receptors on our cells that send in all this information is being sent to us, and our cells have to interpret it to tell the system what's going on. And by the time it gets to our intuitive nature, it's gone through all the systems. It's coming through the systems. All those systems are getting the information, and now we as human beings have to say, okay, what are those systems, and how do we get there, and how does it look, and how does it act, and how do we feel? And this is so important to develop. And to do that, we have to be willing to go into ourselves and be honest with ourselves. It's taking what you're feeling and discharging the energy from the feelings. So it's like, all right, for an example, let's say that anytime you hear nails scratching on the chalkboard, it gives you that irk feeling. Don't do that, right? It like, oh, I don't like that, right? So you can change your feeling about that. You can change your feeling about the way that that chalkboard sounds on your ears. You can change that feeling. You don't have to have that feeling if you don't want to. But it takes practice. Just like when you want to eat that cookie in the cupboard, but you choose not to because you know you're working with a trainer tomorrow morning. We don't do that, but we have to train ourselves to do that. We don't just be like, oh, I'm going to stop feeling that feeling now. Here's the button. Boop. That's not how it works. I wish it was. That would be fantastic, but that's not how it is. But the thing is that we have personality. Each one of you has your own personality, right? And Carl Jung, he likes to call them archetypes. And you can go online and you can say, what's my archetype? And you can actually do it through numerology. You can do it through all these people have these tests on breaking down your archetype, right? So what an archetype is, you know, somebody who's the hero, or somebody who's the innocent, or somebody who's the everyman, the rebel, the explorer, the sage, the ruler. Now you can go online and you can find out what your archetype is, right? But it's basically your personality. Just like I could tell you you're a Capricorn, you're a Cancer, you're a Leo, you're a Pisces, Aquarius, whatever, Gemini and Aries. Like, the thing is that, like, those are personality traits, right? But beyond the personality trait is the authentic true self. It's that energy being, right? So you have to almost bust through that wall to really begin to reach the intuition part. By doing so, you have to just know yourself so well. You have to know when you're kidding yourself and when you're being honest with yourself and when this is real or if this is not real. Like, deep inside everything. You know the answers. But what happens is when we start to go there, we start to be honest with ourselves, what's the first thing we want to do? We want to, like, crinkle up inside and, like, oh no, we're not going there. Right?
Yeah.
So that archetype or that personality trait has just pulled you away from your truth because it's like, oh, the ruler doesn't go there. Or the Aries doesn't go there. Or the Leo doesn't go there. The Pisces doesn't go there. It's like we've accepted the labels that we've placed on ourselves, which are cool because they really do. They're really good at being right on the money. But when you know your triggers and we know those things that happen that kind of upset you or make you upset or make you feel a certain way, those triggers are telling you something. What do you think it's telling you? What do you think it's telling you? Where do you think I'm going with this?
Aren't the triggers telling you that it's not part of, if you're being triggered by an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
it's telling you that you're not in your true self. That there's,
It's a trigger. Yeah, you're right. It's not that you're not in your true self, but you're just, something's going against what maybe you believe in.
Right.
And so the thing is that your belief system is really freaking deep. As soon as you walk into this world, you are having a belief system, right? And so with those belief systems, and then you have a trigger is because, oh, that's not what lines up with my belief system. And so then when your personality comes in and you're flourishing your personality, and then you have this belief system that's being taught by one of your family members, friends, or whatever it is that's teaching you. So that's why that trigger is even more important, because your personality is growing, but that belief system is staying stagnant as to this is what it is, this is how it is, this is how it goes. And so now you're being questioned. Now, is this really my belief system? Am I wrong? Am I bad? So look at all of the judgments that are coming out to create the person that you are. And now I'm asking you to go beyond all of it. I'm going to the spiritual now. We're going into the energetic places now. We're no longer the physical body once we're in our third eye chakra. We are more energy particles at this point than we are actual physical when we're reaching those levels. It's the seeing eye. And to receive the information, we have to go beyond our physical identity. We have to know ourselves well enough and go beyond that point and say, okay, that's us. But that's why I say go neutral. When I say, and a lot of the teaching that I do with the energy work, I tell people when you approach somebody and you're trying to do intuitive work, become neutral. That means that your problems and your personality and all that stuff are not a part of the equation anymore. And there are times when I have to stop myself in a session and say, this is coming from me now. This is not coming from intuitive work. Because sometimes it gets to such an egoic part that it becomes more ego than it does intuitive work at that point. And when we're trying to do this with our family members and friends, it's so difficult. It is so difficult because those lines are so close. And that's why there are intuitives and psychics and therapists out there that aren't connected to anyone in your life, so that you can be more you can feel it better. You can feel better knowing it because you're now identifying yourself differently. And it's more a subjective of what you're going through. So when you take a step back, you can take a ton of personality tests. You can look at your astrology. You can look at your numerology. You can look at your animals. You can look at wherever it is that you want to find and get to know yourself better. But the bottom line is, all of those things that we've worked on with our chakras, you have been working on the pieces of yourself that are holding you back from that intuitive spot. And so that is where we're going next, is intuition. But until you can be accepting that that's my shadow self over there. I see my shadow self. I recognize my shadow self. I know who I am. But I also know that I need to take a step back, and that is not where I need to be in order to connect to the information. So my intuition is really, really good. But when I am in ego, when I am emotional, when the world out there is chaotic, and I can't find a way to get beyond the chaos because it's emotionally attached to me right now, it is very difficult for me to have a subjective, intuitive, okay, let me find my path. Can you agree that that's how it is for you too? Mm-hmm. That the more that we try to be intuitive, but we're really stressing, the harder it is, correct? It's hard to be that way. It's hard to answer those questions. Yes. We're so emotional with the response. We want to put the answer in there because we're so uncertain about the uncertainty. We're so uncertain about the future that we want to put our own spin on what that looks like, because if we put our own spin on it, it makes us feel comfort. And so when we're living in that future and we're putting comfort around this fake future, we get anxious because if anything comes up to jeopardize that future, we're going to start to feel something. And it can't be the intuition that's coming from spirit at that point. It's going to be ego being like, oh no, you can't think like that because that's not part of the plan. Oh no, that's not part of the plan. Yeah. Oh no, that's not part of the plan. So when we start to go too much thinking we're using our intuition, that's when ego will get you. And so then it's harder to really listen to say, am I being really open to this, or am I trying to shift what's being told to me? Classic example, when you're talking on the Ouija board. Let's say you're talking on the Ouija board with your friends. My friends used to do this to me all the time, and I tell them, knock it off. You start talking on the Ouija board, and then they start pushing to the letters that they think that they need to go to because they want the answer that they want to see. It's the same thing with, trying to read a pendulum and changing the direction on purpose because it's easier for you to hear yes or no, but the pendulum is a tool and I can use this tool, but if you're using the tool, but you already want an answer, you're not going to get the correct answer because you're already trying to make it be something that you're not ready to hear. So that's what will stop you from bringing up that intuition. That won't let you be intuitive on yourself. But to be intuitive to yourself is the first process to becoming intuitive with others. You gotta know your stuff, right?
And that's where I have a hard time, like, getting neutral. I have a question in my mind. I might have the pros and cons or whatever it might be, and then have a question. And it's even when I try and I haven't tried to use a pendulum in a while, but it's I don't do it because I all of a sudden I know I've already got this something in the back of my head of what I think it should be or might be or and yeah.
So why do you think you do that? Why do you think you're creating this story in your head of what the future might be like?
Is it for comfort?
Exactly.
Safety?
Absolutely. Safety.
Mm-hmm.
It is very scary to be in the unknown. When we go, human beings we're the ones that created time. We created this timeline, and so like the ego has things feeling nice and calm when it's routine and life goes by exactly like the next moment. That is comforting for the ego. But when I pull you away from the knowing and I'm asking you to go into the unknown, I'm asking you to surrender into that space. That is where intuition is. That is where that little answer is. But to go there, you have to surrender and accept that the unknown is happening all the time. The unknown is happening all the time. Right here, right now, all the time. I can tell you, you don't know what's going to happen in an hour. You can think you know, but you really don't know. But your ego is going to create a story based on what happened yesterday to make you feel comfortable about what's about to happen in an hour. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, if we have a thought that something's going to happen in an hour, we're not worried about dying, are we? We're not worried about the end.
I think.
What's that?
I think with everything that's going on right now, with so much unknown, it's forcing people to live more in the unknown, and that's why people are so scared.
100%.
But being in the unknown, being in the unknown right now is starting to feel a little. That's starting to feel a little more comfortable. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we just had 15 more people. Now they're laid off. They're not even furloughed anymore at work. So I don't know if I'll have a job tomorrow.
Right.
But at this, that's not anything that I'm going to sit here and worry about. I've got other things I'm working on.
Exactly. 100%. But that's the thing, is that the reality of the situation is that no matter what you do, no matter what choice you make, you always make it work. You always make it work. It's not what you expected, but you always make it work. And when we become more comfortable with the unknown, saying to myself, I don't know what the unknown has. When I ask a question and I don't have the answer, that's the unknown, correct? It's like, I just don't know, right? In that moment, in that unknown, all you have to do is just say, it's not up to me right now. And be confident. And that's where faith comes in. This is where you take faith and you just have a belief system on believing that even though you don't know what tomorrow will bring, you've got this godliness within you and around you, helping you, guiding you, bringing you the light everywhere you are, so that you can see that there is intuition around you that will guide you. You don't need to know the answer, but you can understand that the answers are coming. They are there. It's not here now, and that's okay. And the more comfortable we are with not knowing, the more comfortable we are with being in the unknown, the easier it is we can go to that intuitive place. Right? So you have to trust that some things that you think to be true are untrue.
Right.
The bottom line is what the reality is that we are taught. Not all of us, not everything is exactly what we've been taught. And that's because we don't know everything yet. Science isn't 100%. There's so many things that they don't know, or maybe they do, they just don't want to tell us, that basically we have this world out here that we can try new things and see where it goes from there. New ideas, new inspiration. But it's about letting go of your untruth. It's letting go of the old ways, the old thought processes. Even the way that, now, for instance, like people are asked, like, oh, I can't wait to come get a massage by you. People say that to me a lot. And I say, that's awesome, but like, what they don't realize is the way that massage is now is not the same as it was back then. It is not going to be the same experience as it was back then. There are a lot of changes now. And so in those changes, me as the therapist and you guys as the clients are going to have change. So like when people are like, oh, I can't wait until this happens, they are thinking of a past that is not going to be the way it is tomorrow. And that's okay. If we can accept that we don't know what tomorrow is going to be like, but we're going to be okay with whatever that is, we're okay. We are okay. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line of what this is teaching every one of us. Collective consciousness is saying, hey, wake up. Hey, guess what? We are not going to be the way you think it is, and that's okay. Because something greater is coming. Something great is coming. Because people are more awake and aware to the idea of intuition, of looking for something within themselves for the answers. And it's going to be the light workers right here on this class that are going to be the ones taking those scared people by the hand and be like, you know, it's going to be okay, right? It's going to be all right. Do you feel that inside of you? It's like fear, scared, yes, woohoo! Do you notice how like all that came up right up there? Whoa, okay, we got this, right? I know that. Yeah. I know. It's okay. Guess what? I'm standing here. I'm in the fire with you. I'm right here with you. I got this. You got this. We got this together. That is the most comforting feeling in the world for me. We are doing this together. We're not alone. We're doing this and we're holding on together and we're getting what we need right now. We're building our identity right now. We're changing the old version and we're making way for the 2.0. And we're doing awesome doing it. You guys are taking these classes and you're busting through your walls and you're allowing yourself to be better for it. And because you're doing that, you are going to be that light beacon that everybody is going to need. You're going to be there for people. Everything you've ever wanted to do, you're doing exactly the way it needs to be done. Your vibration is rising. And now that we're in the third eye chakra, isn't it a good time to start really figuring out our intuition a little bit more? I got to give you some stuff, right? So it's understanding your vision, understanding the visions that come to you. So the first step for all of this is taking yourself out. Taking it out where you're in the uncomfortable unknown, finding comfort in that unknown, and not worrying about the outcome or the answer, but just allowing yourself to let it come to you. Let the answer come. Come forward in a vision or a symbol, or maybe like a dream or an image. And you have to trust the process. Can everybody agree with me that you're intuitive? How about becoming an interpreter?
Yeah.
How about become an interpreter? Because the interpreter isn't going to tell you how to fix your problems. We're just going to talk to your energy system, and we're going to interpret what your energy system is saying, and we're going to give it back to you. And you can do whatever you want with it. I can help you by just standing here and being here for you as you hear it, but I'm not going to tell you how to fix it. That's an interpreter. We're just giving you the information that maybe you can't hear on your own right now. So the first thing is that you have to start seeing the symbols around you. If I'm having something going on inside of myself, maybe there's some chaos going on, and I say, please help me. Show me a sign you're listening. That's all I say. Please help me. Show me a sign that you are listening. I go for a walk, and an incredible bird comes out of nowhere. That is spirit to me. The reason why I think that's spirit is because I think spirit is in a person. I think it's in an animal. I think it's in a plant. I think it's in the wind. I think it's in the elements. I think that spirit is all around us. I think some are angels. I think some are spirit guides. I think some are healers. I think they're all around us, helping us, guiding us through this very difficult time. Because us here right now on this planet is vibrating a frequency so that we can make changes. We're here to make changes. You're here right now because you have something. You have purpose. You have meaning in your life. You're breathing. That means you're supposed to be here. Your vibration is important in the process for the earth's changes. You being here right now is important. In this class right here, you're being important. We're in the third eye chakra where you are learning to develop your intuition. And the first step is become the interpreter. See the signs. When that stranger comes up to you and just starts conversation, ask yourself, is this an angel? Is this person real? Is this person really in my life right now for me? Or is there something I need to know? It could just be a reassurance you are on the right path.
Yes.
That could be it. You're on the right path. Right? So see, you're getting excited when I say that because you already, see, your intuition, already seeing signs. You already see signs. That's the first step. Check that off your list. I already see signs. That's a really big one. That's a really, really big one because if you have the vision, the only thing stopping you from the complete intuition is yourself. Yourself. So you have to be confident when you're receiving information. You have to be confident that when it's coming towards you, it's coming towards you in a way that is right for you to hear it. But what will happen is you will hear it and your ego is going to try to interpret it first. Because it's going to say, was that something? Was that a vision? Was that something? That was weird. Was that something? And so then you'll start trying to you'll try to define it. Analyzing something and interpreting things are two different things. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because if you try to analyze it too far, you lost the interpretation. And the interpretation is a gentle flow. It's not necessarily like, okay, where's my notes? Let me check it out. That's analyzing. We don't want to analyze. We want to interpret. We want to...
Cognition, I think it's the opposite of what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Cognating all the time, thinking.
Yes.
Thinking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and everything that's like going on now, I have never felt closed in by this thing. I felt a clearance of, there's no place I have to be. There's no place to go. I just feel like stuff got out of my way so that I could be more receptive to things. And the things that I'm more receptive to right now are who I am. Whether you like me or not, that's your issue. I have that, going on with a 15-year-old granddaughter now, step-granddaughter.
Yep.
Her mother and her grandmother. And it's third-generation bullshit. Excuse me. But it happened today.
Yeah.
And here's a good example of an angel coming my way. There's something. I had this issue that it could have hurt me so much in the past, but it didn't. And the past year's been pretty good for me. Today, as you said, you could sense my thoughts today, Des. It was like, what the hell's going on with these people now?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? I got a text message from my former husband, the father of my children, and he had our granddaughter come today, and he sent me a text. How would you like to do arts and crafts with Amelia this afternoon? Yep. Bring it on. And what did she do? We didn't do arts and crafts. She got on the couch with me and snuggled. And she said, could you do that? Get that soft blanket, Noni. I just want to sit here. And by the way, I like that lipstick on you.
Aww.
So what's more innocent than that?
Seriously.
This kid is 4 years old.
Yeah.
Agenda, free spirit. And she was brought to me today by spirit.
That's awesome. And that is exactly what I'm talking about right now. And that is exactly what, when we start to see those visions and we start to see those things and recognize those things, it's important to take those little moments to see that you're being taken care of. So when you start to go in those places of darkness, into your shadow self or your doubt or your worries because things aren't lining up or you're not really sure, they're only not lining up because you thought it was supposed to go a different way. It's just like if the government decides that we cannot open on May 20th. How many people are going to be really upset right now because in their mind it's May 20th, May 20th, May 20th, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about. We really don't have a clue. We really don't have a clue about what tomorrow is going to bring. We could have a complete ascension and be brought up to fifth dimension, who knows? And the thing is that the understanding is knowing, I know some of you got a kick out of that, it's understanding that there's so much more going on that we can do right now. We have to get out of our own way. There is intuitive places for us to be. Because the thing is that, like, I know that all of you guys are intuitive, but maybe you don't know what kind of intuitive you are. Because there's many different types of intuitives. There's clairvoyant, clairaudio, clairsentient, clairconscious, and then there's the hand that kind of guides you to where you're supposed to be. All of a sudden you're in a spot that you weren't supposed to be and you just meet up with somebody and it was like this magical thing. And it wasn't no coincidence. This just is what happens when you start listening to your intuition and just follow the path of intuition. But in order to be clear with your intuition, your chakras really need to be looked at on a regular basis. We need to be grounded. We have to be grounded when we want to be intuitive. Because we need to feel the ground on our feet. We need to feel secure and safe so that when you're... So let's for instance, if I was to go up to a random stranger and tell them about the intuition I have, and I didn't feel grounded, and they looked at me like I was a crazy person, would I want to go back up to somebody and tell them what I saw? Absolutely not, right? No. You don't want to talk to somebody that's going to make you feel that way, but then also your ego is going to come up and then you're going to lose focus on the important things. right? So that is what's so important. So really, what exactly do you think your intuition is like? Now, for me, I feel things. I feel things intuitively as it could be a physical or an emotional sensation. But they're not necessarily my sensations. I feel them on others. Now, when I've talked about empaths, people use that word too much, so I try to stay away from it now. Because you're going to hear every millennial out there say, I'm an empath. They're just going to say it because they just went to yoga class and took a 90-minute power class and said, I'm a yogi and I'm an empath, because those words were used in the class, you know? And I'm not judging. I'm not trying to judge here. I am not judging at all. But they're cute because they are becoming more aware than some other people. But it's just the understanding of what that means. What does it... Okay, we all are empaths. You can go into a room and feel what they're feeling. But then there's feeling it to the point where I know what you're thinking. That's where I go. Watch out, you gotta get your foil tin hat around me because I can read your mind. And I don't want to tell a lot of people that because I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. And then if I do that too much, my ego gets involved. And so I have to keep myself in check. You know, there's a difference between knowing what somebody's thinking and knowing what somebody's thinking. Because I'm still a human being and I need to have regular conversations. So I'm not just being like, ooh, I hear every thought you're thinking right now, because that's not how it works. When I'm being intuitive, I set myself aside. I put my pole, this like intuitive healing energy coming through me, and I listen. And I listen through my feelings. First, it's a sensation. My gut will be like, doop, and I'll feel it. And then I'll be like, all right, gut, what are you trying to tell me? And then something comes creeping up to my heart, and I hear what the heart's trying to tell me, and it's like, they're really upset with the people in their life. And they'll say it just like that. Oh, they're really upset with people in their life. And then I have to come up and I have to now use my throat chakra to be clear and concise in what I'm trying to say without sounding judgmental, without sounding egotistical, and sounding true for them. So you see how I have to go and use all of the other chakras to get to my third eye. Think about that. And becoming an intuitive means that all the other chakras are, you don't have to be perfect in them. That's the thing I need you to understand. You don't have to be perfect in your chakras. You just have to know what is going to come out of them. Right? So like, if somebody is talking about, let's say they're talking about an issue that I feel really strongly about. You know, let's just say somebody is using a parenting technique that I don't agree with. All right. So let's just say, okay, sorry, let me do this. Okay. So when I was younger and I was a young mom, breastfeeding versus bottle feeding was a huge thing. It was like you were a bad mom if you bottle fed your kid. That was how it was, at least in 2004 when I first had Logan, because I was on all the message boards and I was reading and I was good because I was, you know, I breastfed my kids, right? But, you know, I was not very empathetic about the women that didn't breastfeed their children, right? And so when a conversation would come up in a session and they would talk about something, I'd get upset about that. And so I would have to stop and I'd have to take a step back and then realign myself before I can continue with that person, because my belief system would creep up to the surface and I would want to start lecturing or talking instead of intuitively reading. And so that is a very important thing to understand as an intuitive, that your ego is going to try really hard to be in charge of the intuitive session. Whatever the talk is that you're having with somebody, when you start talking and you start using your intuition more and more, words are going to fall out of your mouth that are just intuition, that are going to come out, and it's going to be stuff you're going to be like later on saying, oh wow, I said that? Oh wow, that was pretty cool that I said that. People come up to me all the time. You were right about what you said to me at this time and this hour and this thing. I'm like, I said that? That's awesome. They're like, wait, you don't remember? I'm like, That wasn't mine for me. That was you. That was for you. I'm just the interpreter. See that? I'll let that go as soon as I'm done. It's not mine, it's yours. I'm the interpreter. But being the interpreter for yourself is a little bit different, because you have to take the ego and the interpreter now. And you have to kind of figure out, what is this information I'm receiving? What am I receiving? And take into account every single word is vibrating with its own frequency. So when those words hit you, they're hitting your chakras, you're interpreting it, but your ego is here interpreting it too, classifying it, judging it, taking it into place. So now you have to take a step back and figure out, is this my ego or is this my intuition? So finding out what your language is. What is your language? So some of the things to do to practice your intuition is there's some incredible things here. One of the things that I like to use, and this is something I've talked about in the past, is the pendulum. The pendulum is good, but you have to get your ego out of the way. If I ask this pendulum, will I make $1 million, right? If I ask this a yes or no question, I can make this do yes or no, because I can direct my energy to yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
People tend to, when they first get into pendulum work, they tend to want to create the answer instead of letting the answer come to it. I can very well make this pendulum go without even moving my hand for direction of energy. My hand is underneath it. I can turn it whichever way I want it to go. I want it to go in a circle, it'll go in a circle. If I want it to go up, side to side, it'll go side to side. This is something that this pendulum can do, and I can use my energy to do that. The key, get into a meditative state. Get your ego out of the way. Take yourself to a place of the unknown and be comfortable with whatever answer comes to you. Surrender and allow. Say the mantra, surrender and allow. Surrender and allow. As you surrender and allow, what I'm saying to surrender is surrender the ego and allow the spirit self to come forward. That means be uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. Allow the answer to come up. So the pendulum is good. It can really help you start to develop yes or no answers with your intuition, as long as you can be honest with yourself. As long as you can be honest. The thing is that if you feel like this is too difficult because you know your tendency, maybe your trigger is that you want to be in control. If you're a control person, this probably won't work so good, because you're always going to want to fake yourself out. But it's still a good tool to try and use. After meditation, surrender and allow. Allow yourself to ask a yes or no question. Like if you have a yes or no question that you want to start with before the meditation, I'm going to start with a yes or no question. And as I'm in meditation, I'm telling myself, I'm not trying to figure out the answer in my meditation. I am just allowing the question to hit myself. I'm allowing the question to feel and come up. I'm feeling the question, I'm allowing it to come up, and then I'm sending it forward. Now, after I'm in a nice clear place with my meditation and knowing that I wasn't trying for the meditation to figure the answer out, I just wanted to start with simple questions. Simple things and then work your way up to the big things. That's a way you can do this. Very easily, very comfortably, getting yourself nice and aligned with it. Plus, a lot of times the pendulums have a crystal on there, and that crystal can help you guide you to where you need to be. So those are some good ways of beginning your journey with the pendulums. And this is a way for your intuition. And maybe you used pendulums before in the past, but maybe this is just a different way to start to get that feeling, to start to get that sense of knowing and get the sense of am I allowing my ego to take over? Because as soon as you have a question, the first thing the ego wants to do is answer it. Right?
Yeah.
You know, let's say you have a decision to make, and it's this path or this path, right? And you say in your meditation, please show me, do I need to take path right or path left? All right. And so in the meditation, you're sitting there and you're meditating, you're trying to figure out, should I take left or right? And all of a sudden your ego's like, well, if you go like this, you can go over here and you can do all these things over here. And if you go over here, you're going to do all these things, and this is going to happen over here. And you go over here and over here and over here. And then 20 minutes of meditation was you confused.
Yeah.
Was you confused.
Yep.
So now you're no longer in the meditation, you're in trying to answer questions. But you don't have the answer because the unknown is where the answer is. And to get to the unknown, you can't go to the ego to get there. You have to go to spirit. You have to let go. You have to become a particle. You have to allow yourself to get so tiny to that information where it's being received by yourself. Like if you want to go into your root chakra, feel that it's particles. They're all just moving at a really high, fast frequency so that you can't see them, but they exist. And you know that they exist because they're just particles moving at a very fast frequency. And now you go to that red particle and you go and become part of the red particles. Become part of that chakra. Go there and feel what that feels like. Ooh, is it squishy in there? Is it really tight? Can I not move in this chakra? Am I allowing it to be free, or is it? And then all of a sudden, as I'm feeling around in that chakra, maybe you're like, ooh, what's that? And you look over and you feel like, oh, wow, this is called comfort. Wow, being in this root chakra is really nice and secure and warm and beautiful. And you start to just become more in tune with the red chakra. You get it. You're there. That's where message is being received and sent, right? And so that is why we become more connected to our chakras, because we can become more one with them. Our consciousness becomes the particles. Those particles is information. That information is love. And that love energy has a whole path for you. It has a direction in mind. It knows where it wants to go. It's got you in mind. And it's just you that's in the way of you. We're in the way of ourselves. It's kind of crazy, right? So another way to do this, and this is the one I absolutely love. It's been something that I've been holding around, carrying around since I was 16 years old. And that is my love of tarot cards. And the one specifically that I absolutely resonate is called the Spirit of the Tarot. This is Mother Wind. The thing about Spirit of the Tarot is that it's a very beautiful, powerful message with no upside down reverse cards. I don't know if you've ever been to a tarot card reader. When you get the Tower card and it's upside down, you're like, oh my God, I'm out. You don't want to know the next level. You don't want to hear it because it's kind of scary when they start talking to you about that upside down Tower card. Now, Spirit of the Tarot makes it sound so much nicer, saying, you know what, you're going to go through a lot of change and things are going to get really different for you, but you're going to be okay. So it's giving me the same message as the Rider-Waite deck. Only this one comes with butterflies and love instead of, you're going to die tomorrow. Your life is going to be a hurricane and a disaster. I don't want that. That's not helping me. But for like almost 20 years until I stumbled upon these cards, when I went to a tarot card reader a couple of years ago, she had these cards and I was hooked. What's really cool about these cards is that they answer my questions. Very much so. They will tell me that you are like, you know, right now I picked up a card and it was telling me that, you know, I'm in a transition period, that I have to have faith, that it's okay where I'm going, that I'm going to hold myself back if I don't surrender. Now, all of those things are really fantastic for me, so that it helps me stay in spirit self. Tarot of the Spirit is just that. It's my spirit self calling me. My energy is going into these objects here. My energy is flowing through the cards, right? And each one of these cards is a vibration. This is a vibration. This is a vibration. This is matter, right? I am matter. This is matter. These cards have a vibration and frequency to give us information to help us with our intuition. To give us the bridge between not needing. I don't need these cards for answers. I use them a lot for myself because it's a lot harder to give intuition on myself when I've got ego. So this is a good practice. This is a good tool to go to when you're just feeling like, I don't know which way to go. I feel like I'm so chaotic. I don't know where I'm going, how I'm going, what's going on. This is a tool for you. This is where you can go to just kind of help you guide yourself into that positive light.
I have a question.
Go for it.
What is the difference? Is there a difference between tarot cards and angel reading cards?
Yes. An angel card is more like a message is very brief and to the point, you know, like happiness or joy is coming towards your life. Like, let me do a slight reading. Now, for me, I like to use my little booklet here, and this is how my tarot cards work. I read the booklet, I look at a couple words, and then I'm like, oh, that's what that was saying, because then my intuition kicks in. It's how it's been for me. That's why I don't do a lot of tarot card readings, because somebody would think, oh, she's just cheating and reading the book. No, that book is just there for guidance. So I am going to do a short reading just to give you an example of what I mean. These are, for me, I believe they're very safe. Spirit of the Tarot, it's like earth, wind, fire, you know, water. I mean, it's just beautiful. All right, so what I just asked is just a short message for everybody. It's just to give you guys an example of what is coming towards all of you right now. Because we're in this collective consciousness now. I'm going to give you a message from Spirit to give you an example of how I do this. All right? So the first one is 9 of Water. This is the rainbow mirror. All right? That sounds so nice, doesn't it? This is why I love this deck so much, because it's just, everything about it is beautiful and nice, all right? So 9 of Water for everyone. The 9 of Water is about feeling a strong sense of integrity and inner security. You have this self-esteem, this inner joy that is inside of you right now. You're discovering this beauty about yourself right now. And so within that space, you're getting stronger. And you're also developing a new sense of harmony and wisdom in your life. So that's the first card right now. So it's saying that you are seeing yourself, and you're seeing yourself in many different aspects of the whole. You've been in different places in your life of who you are. And right now, you're recognizing in this transition, there's hope. You're finding hope within yourself. Not on the outside world, within the inside world. All right? So that's the first part of the message. The second part of the message is called Father Fire. Father Fire. And Father Fire says that you're experiencing a sense of conviction. Much more movement right now. Even though we're stable, there's much more movement in here, inside of yourself right now. There's this surging, this powerful feeling of leadership is coming forward in you. You're feeling like you want to be leading, and you're feeling this feeling that's pushing you forward, meaning that you're knowing that you have this perspective that you want to share with the world. Now, the fire can be really, really good here. Or what can happen is it could be where you burn yourself out. recognize who's accepting the message and who's not. Because now you found this newfound confidence. And now you have this feeling of leadership. And with leadership, we can either have really good role models or we can have really piss poor role models. And that depends on you in the way that you are delivering your message. So make sure it's with a clear throat chakra as you're reading and speaking your words so that you can have a better idea on what it is that your message is trying to produce. What is it you're trying to lead? It's in you right here. I feel it in all of you right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so the final message here, what is coming towards you? What hasn't happened? To figure out for yourself that you have the ability for your success or failure. It is about you deciding which direction that you're going to go into. But the thing is that instead of making it as failure as a regression, make it as an idea of a growth. It's a garden. Just because you think it's failing, just because you put that seed in and it hasn't grown yet, doesn't mean you failed. It just means it needed more time of water, more time of sunshine, more love before it's coming out into fruition. But right away, it's the patience that you need to see your garden grow. This is your message. Your message is that you have exactly everything that you need and you're exactly where you need to be right now. But right now, you're feeling it. You've got this message, you've got this newfound voice, you're feeling stronger and more powerful by the moment. But it is up to you to decide how you're going to deliver your message and choose to decide whether you're going to say it's a failure or a success. Because you have what it takes to get there. All right? So the thing is that I just read you just a small little tarot card reading. You're kind of pumped now, aren't you? Feeling good, right? It feels good because I was saying things that you can relate with, right? Mm-hmm. That is reaching into your intuition, right? So I took a few of the words from that book and then I really feel, I take your feelings and become the interpreter of those feelings and resonating with all of those things that card represents. Because I know right now that failure and success are a very big part of everything in what is about to happen for the future. And so instead of looking at it as failure and success, it just is.
It just is.
It just is. There is no failure or success. Mm-hmm. It's based upon how you want to see it. And that is amazing when you start to accept that into your world. Because it's no longer about the success and failure. It's about what's happening right now. Now, does anybody have any questions for me about intuition? No? All right.
I think you really did a fantastic presentation.
Awesome.
The difference between ego and intuition and how ego curtails intuition.
Yeah.
And how, really just, we all have those ego sparks that, flash in our heads like, oh, geez, and can really stop the intuitive process.
It's so true. Do you guys think that you will approach things a little differently knowing now that you, with this reading right now, see this Fire King card? This means that you guys are leaders and you have the ability to lead people, but it could go either way for you right now. And that's exactly what this card is saying too. It's based upon you in the way you interpret, in the way that you want to follow your intuition. If you're an interpreter, but you're interpreting your ego instead of your spirit self, you might have a whole different point of view on that uncertainty or the unknown. It's pretty incredible when you take a step back now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to really dissect yourself for a moment and really get to know. Because you are all intuitive. I know your abilities. I see it. But the big thing that you have to understand is that, like, you are your worst pulling back, the worst failure giver, the pointing the figures, the ones that are telling you that you're not right. And when you do that, you start looking at the outside world as judging you too. And you start to feel defensive about everything. And then once defensiveness comes in, you're no longer listening. And when you're no longer listening, nothing gets done. And then you can cry because you feel like everything's over. Or it's never going to change. When it's all changing all the time, right now. Right?
Hey, the other night I had, before I went to bed, all I said was, show me that I'm on my right path. That's all I'm asking for. Just show me some way, show me that I'm on my right path. About 4:00 in the morning, I rolled over and I looked out the window, and there was this huge beam coming down into the backyard. And it was just where the placement of the moon was. I got up and looked out the window, and that beam was shining down so bright. And it was like, it made me really realize that I'm on my right path.
Yeah.
It was definitely letting me know, because it woke me up out of a sound sleep.
That's fantastic.
You know? It was
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That is exactly what I'm talking about right now. And I'm sure you all have been having those same experiences. Some might not recognize it, as others may recognize it more. But it's all happening. It's all happening right now. And the thing is the more that you work on your other senses, the better you're going to become at doing what needs to happen for your intuition to grow. Awesome job, guys. Any other questions? Anything else? Any comments? Anything that you want to talk about? You guys good? You guys ready for the crown?
I want to say thank you to you.
Yeah.
Because this has been amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
My path has been going this way more and more. And then the last couple months, it's just, and then with this class.
That's awesome.
I mean, the class before, last Wednesday, that either the night before or that morning, I just got this anxiety feeling. I was like crying. I'm like, okay, I have to see, is this me or is this me and someone else? So I meditated and I just chilled and I was happy. And about an hour later, I got this horrible message. I'm like, okay, that's what it was. And I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying it to everybody, I'm okay.
That's right.
I'm in a good place.
That's
So
fantastic.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're able to really recognize that and that you're able to take those things, because this is important. There are a lot of people right now that are going to need those light workers. We need to be shining bright right now. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to push back. And you just have to stay true to your authentic self. And not listen to those naysayers, because they are just the critics sitting on the arena. They're just outside the arena. They're not participating. They're not showing their courage. They're not putting themselves out there. They're terrified. And they're spreading all of their terrified feelings all around, waiting for other people to gather around the terrified. And we have to be strong enough and united and connect with the oneness and recognize we're good. We got this.
Everything's working out for me.
Everything is working out. 100%. 100%. So keep working on those chakras. If you're feeling like one is not as good as the other, keep working on it. This is a work in progress here. Keep meditating and keep getting yourself into that frame of mind. That's really going to help you get yourself where you need to go. I'm telling you, it's the journey. It's not the destination.
yeah.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome job, guys. Anything else?
Is Deanna still there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to even find a silhouette. I don't even see
I love
a
it.
silhouette.
No, it's in somewhere. I'm in.
Oh, there's the glasses. I can see you now.
Okay.
Weren't you in a movie or something?
Is that in a movie?
Sci-Fi channel.
Yeah. And I
Awesome.
floated in. I just snuck in. I didn't even know what day of the week it was. I have been on the computer all day solving problems.
Oh my goodness.
When I sat down to dinner tonight, I thought, oh, good, my day is done. And then I get this little thing on my watch that says, are you jumping in? I'm there now. They're like supposed to be.
Well, hopefully it was the best one of the night.
Oh, it is. It is. It's centered everything. A
Good.
client called me today to tell me that I was in her dream last night. And I thought, oh boy.
Yeah.
You know, everything in the dream is about you.
Exactly.
About whatever it is. And I thought, oh, geez. So I said, oops. I said, no wonder I couldn't sleep last night. I was out traveling. And I said, and what did I do? Did I behave? And she sent it back to me. She says, you were having a gala and all these people were there and you were dressed in red and I just had to hug you to death.
Aw.
And I go, red, grounded. In other words, she's in a place of being grounded.
Yes. 100%.
So I just put back, oh, I'm so glad you're grounded. And she bought a house last week and she moved into it last weekend.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So she's grounded. She's home.
That's so cool,
Nice.
Deanna. I
That's
love
awesome.
it. I love it. And that's the thing, is we're all just beacons of light for people here, and this is where it's at right now. Be strong and, just know that you're not alone. You guys are not alone right now. And that is important when we're doing this work.
And especially isolated.
Yeah. Seriously.
And by
Seriously.
yourself, like isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's gotta be tough, Darby. It's gotta be really hard. But you know
I've
what?
done a lot of work on myself. There's a lot of work, a lot of this. So, but feeling good about, what it's going to come out to.
Exactly.
I do. I feel good about it. So.
Fantastic. Fantastic. No, it's good. It's good. So I guess we'll just say goodnight for today, and then we'll see each other again next week. And I am adding another chakra, just a heads up. There is one more chakra. It's called the Eighth Chakra. It's becoming more and more prevalent in the New Age realm, and so I think I need to start really touching on it more. Our bodies, our minds, everything is shifting, the dimension's shifting, so the Eighth Chakra is becoming more and more prevalent, and that's about the aura. And so we'll talk more about that after the Crown Chakra. So I'm just letting you know there's actually 8 classes and not 7. So that one is just to let you know we're going to do that as well. And it's just good to know that, like, it's just going to be continuously going on. We always need more work on our chakras. Like, we always got something to talk about, And it's important to share too. It's important to really go out and, share what you're feeling. All right? Awesome job, everybody. Thank you so much, and I will see you again real soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.